The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
If you told me in the 1980s that 2025 will be a year of suppression and the UK of all countries attempting to censor your opinions, your thoughts, Ladies and gentlemen, when historians look back at the year 2025, Friday, July the 25th, to be precise, that will go down in infamy, in history, as the darkest of times for the UK.
We find it's always better to fire people on a Friday. Studies have statistically shown that there's less chance of an incident if you do it at the end of the week.
What am I talking about? Of course, I'm being absolutely facetious when I say that. You know what I'm talking about. The news is everywhere. We're turning into a red state, just like the Kevin Smith movie. The UK has turned communist.
Oh, no!
No fingerprints, no trace. No mercy.
What are we going to do? Should I change my bandana right here to something a bit more subtly and conservative? Of course not. I've always liked the color red. I like simply red. Well, sometimes I'm more of a metalhead, which I'll talk about in a future video. But today, folks, I want to address the Online Safety Act, enforced by the British government, of course, initiated by the Conservative government before them. What do I think of it? Is it wrong? Is it right?
From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Keir Street.
Now I go back to the 1980s here, folks. Video nasties, remember those? I Spit in Your Grave, Driller Killer by Abel Ferrara. You'd manage to acquire a copy, put it in your VHS recorder when your parents were asleep or out for the day. And in the next hour and a half, your life might change for the worse, change for the better. You may fast forward the dialogue and get to the gory bits, and then your experience is probably about 20 minutes in all. And either you're traumatized for the rest of your life, or just like me, you move on to the next big thrill-seeking experience in paradise. The Online Safety Act. No longer a bill, it's an act that came into force on the 25th of July, 2025. Some skeptical part of me thinks that was done on purpose by choosing that date and this particular year. I mean, you can't sit back and tell me that the think tanks in British government did not concoct that idea long time ago, right? Well, they were smoking their spliff when nobody was looking. But I have to address this, folks, and I've got some thoughts, I've got some feelings. While I think that some parts of the Online Safety Act have very good intentions, the other half of it, where now when you sit down in front of your favorite adult website or even Discord or X that hosts adult content, and they want to use a particular third party called Yoti, which is Indian for roti, a pancake-like dish, or Yote, the Ghosts of from Sony PlayStation, coming out to you this October. I bet you can't wait for that shit show with the anarchist activist headlining that shit game.
Listen, I'm going to tell you the words of all of the devs. She's very badass. You know, like I'm not me, just the character. So.
Well, what are you going to do? I mean, you could use the Norman Reedus photo mode from Death Stranding 1 and 2 to try and fool that ridiculous system of verification now, can't you? But how long will that work for before, of course, those particular platforms actually catch on to what you're trying to do? Well, you might end up in jail, folks. Worse still, you might get the thought police as evoked by George Orwell in his 1949 novelist extravaganzas called 1984, with rubber gloves to thoroughly search you, not because you're hiding contraband, but maybe because, well, they want to get a kick, right? Now, I have to state this disclaimer, folks, which I should have done at the beginning of this video, but I'm not here to encourage or incite wrong thought. Merely to be thought-provoking, a provocateur, maybe agent provocateur, as I'm a big fan of that fashion outlet, if you get my drift. Let's just go through some of the quick headlines regarding this Online Safety Act, because outlets like BBC and ITV don't report on it. They talk about other current issues that we don't care about. So Ofcom cracks down on non-compliant porn sites under the Online Safety Act. UK regulator investigates dozens of websites that are potentially not abiding by new rules. Obviously, this will come into play with MasterCard and Visa, who have been told now that you can't allow your customers to spend their money on adult content because you're bad companies. Daniel Thomas published this article: 4 companies running more than 30 pornography sites. 4 companies, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I don't know, just seeing that sideline by comparison right there. The 4 companies, and these are the groups themselves, have been prioritized by Ofcom, which makes you wonder what Ofcom do in their spare time, right? It's meant to be a very stressful job, but how stressful is it really, Ofcom, when you're looking at things that even I'm not privy to seeing? Oh my God. The 4 companies are the first to be tested since new rules, because don't forget, Ofcom are a regime, folks. They're not an official body of people. They actually have called themselves a regime. And when you think of regime, it's not very, very nice, is it?
It's up to the righteous to curb the spread of this disease. You might take children out now.
Now, GB News published this article here talking about the betrayal of a generation. Expert issues stark warning over youth exodus as young Britons prepare to leave the UK. Listen to them. Now, this is something I predicted a few days ago when I've heard all this news about censorship happening in the UK. What is it going to cause you to do? Well, you got 2 choices. You could stay put and use a VPN like I do, a virtual private network, which ironically does safeguard you from online harm if you choose not to dabble in that stuff, and also protecting your social security number, your bank details, your emails, everything else. But the very thought of enforcing and evoking the Online Safety Act is actually pushing that aside. I mean, all these government cronies sat in their think tanks, oh yeah, this is going to be a great bill, it's going to protect our kids, which is a good thing in hindsight. Maybe sit down and rethink what you had to do. But no one in the room decided to say, hey, do you know what, Mr. Prime Minister, we know you're a wank already, but hey, did you not know that there's a thing called VPNs? People might start to use those. As a result, all the VPN providers out there have seen such a surge for people either via YouTubers to get 86% off their current subscription or future subscriptions of VPN, which works out at about what, $1.86 a month, which is absolutely fantastic. Why not? It's at the moment in time, folks, it's not unlawful to use VPNs. It wasn't before. So much so that even Wikipedia and Apple are threatening to take legal action against the UK government. And I certainly hope they will win, because the UK government are forcing them to share data on the clients they hold under lock and key. And of course, Wikipedia has stated already that if you do that, you're actually compromising the identities of our volunteers who work tirelessly to upload information for our paid for by the public website. The story takes place in an imagined future. The current year is uncertain, but believed to be 1984. Much of the world is in perpetual war. Great Britain, now known as Airstrip 1, has become a province of the totalitarian superstate Oceania, which is led by, wait for it, Big Brother, a dictatorial leader supported by an intense cult of personality, which is Keir Starmer, by the party's thought police. the woke police force of the UK. They walk around, they knock on your door because you said something very egregious online about immigration or about a certain religious group. Oh, the list goes on and on. Islamophobia? Are you kidding, dude? It's just a made-up term to protect a certain quotient of people. Let's carry on. The party engages in omnipresent government surveillance and through the Ministry of Truth, historical negationism and constant propaganda to persecute individuality and independent thinking. Gee, I wonder why that sounds so familiar.
Imagine the world held in a river.
That sounds awfully familiar.
World of continuous surveillance of organized hatred. Ceaseless war.
It's funny when you watch this trailer again, and the last time I watched 1984 was coincidentally 1984 for film studies back in Westminster College. The great John Hurt, I miss that guy, and a fantastic Doctor Who as the War Doctor, by the way. When you watch this trailer and you watch the evocative imagery that's right before you in this video, I actually think this is a prophecy of what will happen in the future. At some point, we're all going to be scrambling for that old tech that we used to use before that we've now dispensed of because we think we're not going to need it anymore. Do you think I'm going to get a CB radio? Of course I am. I'm going to order one in the next couple of weeks or less because you don't know what kind of cataclysmic meltdown or lockdown we might encounter in the next few days, weeks, months, maybe even years. But 1984, a film I've not seen for a long, long time, I'll have to revisit now because, again, very thought-provoking movie adaptation of a much acclaimed book. And it is quite shocking to see that if you told me in the 1980s that 2025 will be a year of suppression and the UK, of all countries, attempting to censor your opinions, your thoughts, because you might have the wrong ideology. For all I know, folks, good grief, they might even have a set of eyes on me right now and try to bring me in for questioning. But all I ask is if you do that, put me in a room with a very attractive woman and make sure she's biologically inclined, and then I might answer your questions ossifers. But honestly, I have to not leave this video without reacting to that Keir Starmer and Donald Trump meetup, which I thought was hilarious in Scotland last week in Turnberry, when, oh my goodness, the Prime Minister of England was so really embarrassed by Mr. Trump when he called out Sadiq Khan for being an absolutely abhorrent human being.
Fan of your mayor. I think he's done a terrible job. The mayor of London, but the nasty person. I think he's done. I think he's
a friend of mine, right?
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
Why was Sadiq Khan elected as mayor instead of Zach Goldsmith? Because of DEI reasons. I'm going to say it right there.
It's wrong, I think.
But it's you who's played the race card.
Not at all. I've used the term radical to describe what's happened to the Labour Party political machine. Everyone listening to this program would have to agree that it's radical, whether they like it, welcome it, or not.
And since Sadiq has remained in power for such a long, long time, what has he done to curb knife crime? The biggest plague that has haunted and terrorized the UK for many, many years? Absolutely nothing. Why would he? He's more interested in being a so-called mayor, not of Kingstown like Jeremy Renner, but he's just a mayor who's running the UK into the ground. And nobody that I can think of actually likes this guy. He's a buffoon. He's a cockroach, just like Mr. Starmer, or in his case, Mrs. Starmer, who squirms in his seat and says, hey, don't talk about my friend Sadiq that way because we're best bum chums. Honestly, when I look at Keir Starmer, I can see a Weasley version of Will from the In-Betweeners Will at least actually has integrity, even though it comes off the wrong way. But when you compare him to Starmer, oh god, no, Starmer is just that weaselly, cockroachy type of librarian prefect you would see at school that you'd want to just stay away from. Like, you're not part of our clique, bro. Just stay somewhere else and don't come near us. You smell a BO. I'm just being as kind as I can possibly be, folks, because quite honestly, I've just had it up to here. It's been so ridiculous. Well, I must apologize for that technical glitch there, folks, because I ran out of hard drive space there and then. But honestly, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? VPNs. If I were you, it's not unlawful to use one right now. Go out there and get one, as long as you're not hurting anybody online. And you want to indulge in your favorite hobbies that other people might find quite frankly strange, then go ahead and do so. The only person who should be feeling ashamed of themselves are those who are trying to persecute you, make you feel bad about yourselves, and trying to shape you into something that you're not. And the last thought I'm going to leave you with, folks, is that the legal age of voting has now dropped from 18 to 16 in the UK. The same youngsters this government wants to entice to vote for them again in the next general election are the same ones who will probably end up mass migrating away from the UK and starting new lives abroad. And if there's any kind of thought I would want to invoke at the end of this video, is that very one. Go to Japan, go to Dubai, Australia, start a new life, and turn around to England just like me and go F you. And on that one, ladies and gentlemen, if I were you and if you were me, you should definitely return for, that's if I'm still here, of course, the next video.
Look, I put a lot of effort into this. I made a really nice cock au vin. Cock of what? Oh, you don't help yourself, do you?
Don't let your dreams be dreams. Dream of me. I'll make your dreams come true. Everything's possible with me.